Hey everyone! Today we're going to explore a story from Africa's history that's both sad and important. It's about a king named Leopold II of Belgium and a place called the Congo Free State. Now, pictures can be deceiving, right? This map might make it seem like King Leopold brought good things to the Congo, but the truth is much darker. Some people say millions of people suffered terribly under his rule. We are talking about people being forced to work long hours, collecting rubber from the trees. They were treated very harshly, and many died from sickness or punishment. This isn't a happy story, but it's one we need to learn about. Why did this happen? What can we do to make sure nothing like this ever happens again? If you're curious to learn more, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're going to dig deep into this story, answer your questions, and see what lessons we can learn from the past. The Reign of Terror. By the Force Publique, King Leopold's private army, the Force Publique wasn't just there to keep order. They were tools of terror, meant to cause extreme pain and suffering to control the Congolese people. Led by European officers known for being very cruel, the Force Publique used horrible brutality to make sure enough ivory and especially rubber were collected. They did things like public executions, beatings, and cutting off hands or feet as punishment. This violence wasn't done quietly or quickly. It was done on purpose, out in the open, to make sure everyone knew what would happen if they disobeyed. The message was clear: go against the colonial rulers, and you'd face terrible consequences. The Force Publique not only took men away from their families to work on rubber plantations, but also punished entire villages if anyone resisted. This terrifying system wasn't just about meeting quotas. It was about breaking the spirit of the Congolese people and stopping any organized opposition to Leopold's rule. From villages to rubber plantations, traditional life in the Congo was torn apart. Villages stopped being self-sufficient communities and were turned into parts of the rubber-making machine. Families were split up as men were forced to go far away to work in rubber camps, leaving their homes behind. This didn't just cause emotional pain, it also put a big burden on women left behind, who had to grow food alone to feed their families. With men taken away and traditional farming messed up because of forced labor, there wasn't enough food. Even kids weren't safe from Leopold's greed. Disease and starvation as weapons. The breakdown of social order caused by the forced labor system and the brutality of the Force Publique had a terrible additional effect: the spread of disease and hunger. The forced labor camps, packed with people from different places and often in dirty conditions, became hotspots for diseases like smallpox and sleeping sickness. These sicknesses quickly spread among the exhausted and underfed population. Traditional farming was messed up by forced labor, and many people didn't have enough to eat. Hunger made them even weaker and more likely to get sick. This terrible mixed forced work, violence, disease, and hunger, led to a huge number of deaths in the Congo Free State. Experts think millions died under Leopold's rule, showing how disease and hunger were used to exploit people. A genocide fueled by greed. King Leopold II's rule over the Congo Free State from 1885 to 1908 wasn't just about colonialism, it was a descent into a horrific genocide. Millions lost their lives under his insatiable greed, not through quick violence, but through a systematic campaign of brutality and neglect. Forced labor in rubber collection was a death sentence for many. Men were torn from their villages and forced into remote camps, where they worked tirelessly under the relentless African sun. The quotas imposed on them were impossible, the work exhausting, and the punishments for failing brutal. Violence was the norm, meted out to those who couldn't meet their quotas or dared to resist. With traditional farming disrupted by forced labor, malnutrition spread rapidly. People weakened by hunger couldn't muster the strength to work or fight back, trapping them in a cycle of exploitation. Disease ran rampant in the overcrowded, unsanitary camps, becoming breeding grounds for illnesses like smallpox and sleeping sickness. The weakened state of the population due to malnutrition made them even more vulnerable, leading to a deadly chain reaction: hostage-taking and public humiliation. In addition to the physical brutality, King Leopold's regime employed tactics meant to instill paralyzing fear and dismantle the very essence of Congolese society. His private army, the Force Publique, used hostage-taking to control the population. Families, especially women and children, were forcibly taken from their homes and held captive in harsh conditions. Their survival depended on men meeting impossible quotas, tearing apart communities and eroding trust. Public mutilation served another horrifying purpose. Amputating hands and feet wasn't just a punishment for failing quotas. It was a grotesque form of humiliation and a warning to potential resistors. These severed limbs were a constant reminder of the regime's barbarity and the consequences of defiance. The message was clear: obey or face a fate worse than death. Environmental devastation alongside human suffering. Central to this brutality was the ruthless exploitation of the Congo's abundant natural resources. Ivory and rubber were seen as sources of immense wealth by Leopold, with little regard for the environmental consequences. The methods used for resource extraction not only exploited human labor, but also caused severe damage to the delicate ecosystem of the Congo Basin. Uncontrolled ivory harvesting led to a drastic decline in elephant populations, while the relentless pursuit of rubber led to extensive deforestation and habitat destruction, devastating the region's biodiversity. Alongside the unimaginable suffering endured by the Congolese people, Leopold's rule left a lasting legacy of environmental degradation and ecological imbalance that continues to echo through the Congo to this day. The story of King Leopold II's rule in the Congo Free State is a dark one, filled with suffering and injustice. But by remembering these events, we can work to ensure such atrocities never happen again. Let's keep the conversation going. Share your thoughts and questions in the comments below. Do you think stories like this are important to learn about? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe for more explorations of history, both the good and the bad. Thanks for joining us.